Last time, on Nights of Wonder, the party's trial was over. After surviving shadows, ice, sand traps, spiders, clowns, dragon fire, and a final chamber of animated blades and lashing tentacles, the survivors emerged not as hopeful recruits, but as true members of the Azure Light. They were given rings, gold, a home outside Helm's Hold, and one very important vault key that no one seemed entirely ready to be responsible for. With Whisper and Brock called away on business by Arthur Renard, the remaining party stepped into their first real day as guild adventurers. Naturally, they began with poor decisions. In Helm's Hold, Leonidas discovered the dangerous power of expensive elvish wine. Nalva discovered that potion prices were offensive, and Agatha of Witch's Brew discovered that the newest members of the Azure Light might be the kind of people who threatened to burn down a shop while trying to negotiate a discount. The party was promptly removed. From there, they turned to the Azure Light job board. Sewers were rejected. Suspicious potions were considered, but one posting caught their attention. Strange hauntings in the village of Lakeside. Whispers in walls, lights in the night, objects moving on their own, restless livestock, sour milk, bad luck, and a reward of 100 gold upon resolution. The party accepted. Before they left, one more problem had to be solved: leadership. With Whisper absent, someone needed to hold the key and guide the group. Ironbark refused the title, declaring his captain days behind him. Yet still he was nominated along with Serenity. So in the grand tradition of heroes, fate was decided by arm wrestling. Against all reason, expectation, and visible muscle mass, Serenity defeated Ironbark. And so Serenity, cleric of Saloon, became acting leader of the party. The road to Lakeside was quiet, but the village itself was anything but. At first glance, Lakeside seemed peaceful. Timber cottages, fishing boats, docks, nets, gardens, and the smell of smoke, salt, and lake air. But beneath that calm surface, something was wrong. Serenity visited the local apothecary Merva, hoping to gather supplies and information. Instead, the winds of chaos struck again, and for one humiliating minute, Serenity heard an inner monologue, speaking suspicious thoughts. Somehow, despite that, she managed to buy healing potions and learn that the party's contact, Magron Hindle, waited at the town council building. Magron told them the haunting had begun about 3 weeks ago. Wet footprints appeared near the docks. Voices whispered from cupboards, chimneys, and wells. Lantern flames turned blue-green. Fishing nets tied themselves into impossible knots. Milk soured overnight. Fish catches dwindled, and all of it seemed to happen mostly after dark. The party then spoke with Mayor Celine, who revealed that the trouble had started just after the last twin moons. She also warned them of darker news from Farhold. Strange behavior from its king, rumors of shadow influence, and whispers of a hidden war involving the Shadow Realm and Hathenster, the god of lies and tricks. At first, the haunting seemed like it might be tied to Shadow, but the evidence began pointing somewhere stranger. Ironbark checked the village well after hearing a small voice calling for help. Transforming into a giant wolf spider, he climbed down into the darkness and found a tiny doll-like trinket beneath the water. It had button eyes, fairy wings, and one name stitched into it: Popsy. Elsewhere, Leonidas investigated the docks, only to have his shoelaces mysteriously tied together. When he looked toward the water, he heard giggling and saw ripples vanish where no visible creature stood. That night, the party split up to patrol Lakeside. Serenity, Nalvi, and Levarta found clothes dancing on a line, then a broom sweeping dirt into someone's doorway as a prank. Nalvi reached for something invisible and came away holding a tiny shoe. Meanwhile, Ironbark cast Detect Magic and saw fast-moving trails of magic darting through the air. He and Leonidas followed one into the woods, where they found a ring of mushrooms and flowers. A fairy ring. Leonidas, in a moment of bold curiosity and terrible judgment, stepped inside and cut the mushrooms. The forest answered with a growl, then a roar, then the shape of something vast and draconic moving through the sky. Ironbark and Leonidas ran. The next morning, Serenity pieced together the truth. The haunting did not feel like undead. It felt mischievous, childlike, fey. The party questioned the children of Lakeside and learned of an old woman named Ren Thimble, who had once lived outside town near the woods. Ren had made dolls and trinkets for the children during holidays. Some of those trinkets looked just like the one Ironbark found in the well. One child even had a matching doll marked Sopsy. Ren had died around the last twin moons. The timing matched. The party went to Ren Thimble's cottage. Inside, they found sewing tools, honey-candied berries, scraps of fabric, copper wire, unfinished gifts, and a hidden box. In that box was a note, "For the next twin moon." It listed 8 names: Hopsy, Topsy, Mopsy, Popsy, Lopsy, Sopsy, Flopsy, Dropsy. Each name had a gift. Each gift had a purpose. And with the note were instructions showing exactly where those offerings were meant to be placed inside the fairy ring. The truth became clear. Ren Thimble had not merely been a sweet old woman making toys for her children. She had been keeping peace with the local fae. Every twin moon she left them gifts. She remembered them, honored them, fed the bond between village and fairy ring. Then Ren died. No one brought the offerings. The fae were not haunting Lakeside. They were offended, forgotten, grieving, angry. And then there was Leonidas. While the others investigated Ren's home, Leonidas returned alone to the fairy ring and attempted to fix what he had damaged. He dug up the blackened remains of the mushrooms he had cut. Spores burst from the earth. The first wave weakened him. The second took him down. When the party found him, he was asleep in the middle of the fairy ring, stripped of his gear, entirely naked, marked with a drawn-on mustache and beard, and strange writing across his forehead that no one could read. The party carried him back to town under Levarta's cloak, secured him a spare robe, and Serenity returned to Merva, who began brewing a remedy for the sleep of ages. And so the party stands on the edge of the next twin moons. They have found the cause of Lakeside's haunting. They have found the offerings. They have angered the fairy ring. They still need to wake Leonidas, make peace with the fae, and find someone in Lakeside willing to continue Ren Thimble's forgotten tradition. Because if they fail, the village may learn that fairy mischief was only the beginning,